Okay, so just a quick review on Intothinair by Jon Krakauer. This book has been out for quite a while now. There's been quite a few reviews, so I won't go too long on it. I just want to give my opinion. I do think that obviously the 1996 disaster, as terrible as it is, it's really fascinating. I do find Everest stuff really interesting. I read a book a little while ago about Ernest Shackleton, and I'll do a review on that one fairly soon. That was Alfred Lansing, and that's called Endurance. I'll do that one soon. And I think that was probably the first book in a while that I've read that kind of got me into this kind of survival type stuff. So that's kind of sparked my interest in Everest, and I've done a review on Ant Middleton's The Fear Bubble when he goes up Everest. I've now read Intothinair, and that's what this review is going to be on. So there was quite a bit of kind of contention about this book. The guy Jon Krakauer, he was involved in the team who went up Everest in 1996, and I think it was 12 or 13 people who died. Basically they got up there, the weather changed pretty quickly, as it does on Everest, as you would expect in that part of the world and at that ridiculous height. And when that happens, if you can't see where you're going, if you can't get down quickly enough, chances are you're going to die. I don't mean to be too cynical or disrespectful of anyone, but I do find it frustrating, this kind of thing. I do find like the whole Everest thing quite frustrating, full stop, although I find it really interesting and fascinating. I do think if you're going to put yourself in really obvious danger, then you don't really have anyone but yourself to blame when things go wrong. And Jon Krakauer got quite a lot of stick from people for writing this book, and people sort of argued that he wasn't really giving the full story and that he'd saved himself and blah blah blah. But pretty much when you get, as little as I know about Everest, or as much as I now know from researching it and reading a few different things about it, once you get up there, when you get up there, if you've got any sense whatsoever, that you're going to be really, really struggling. You're going to be close to hypoxia. You're going to be close to death, basically. Your blood is kind of slowing down and thickening. Your faculties are absolutely disappearing. You're losing your mind. The oxygen you're getting is a third of what you get down at normal level, and it's all really obvious stuff. You're going to put yourself in severe danger, basically. And most people bring oxygen with them. You have a certain amount of oxygen, but that obviously runs out. So if you get to the top and there's loads of people trying to get up there and there's queues and you have to wait to get back, the chances are you're going to get pretty close to death. You're possibly going to, quite potentially going to die. And there were, different conspiracies about what actually went on up there and stuff. And I read something about the fact that one of the guys was an airline pilot, and he saw the clouds coming and he knew that, if you're in an aeroplane, that would be, let's get the hell out of here, this is dangerous, but they carried on regardless. And I do just think everyone should take their own responsibility for going up there. You'd have to be pretty stupid and pretty ignorant to not go up Everest and not realise how much danger you're going to be putting yourself into. I mean, the whole way up pretty much is full of kind of different difficulties and dangers where you're crossing crevasses on ladders and having to climb up sheer ice walls, and you're feeling lightheaded and weak for a long time before you get to the top. And it's just incredibly dangerous, incredibly interesting to me that people do this. Which I think brings me to my next point that I find particularly difficult, is I think when people have children, I can understand going up there if maybe something's happened in your life where, maybe you've had a bit of tragedy or something, you don't have kids, and you just sort of think, right, sod it, I'm going to do something really difficult, I'm going to really challenge myself, I'm going to go up there, and if I die, well, so what, I die, get on with it. But when you've got little kids depending on you and family, I just think it's really irresponsible. It really irritates me. I remember watching Into the Wild years ago. That's Jon Krakauer as well. He wrote the book, and I'm going to read that soon. I'll do a review on that. But I remember watching the film and it just irritated me, because I just thought, this spoiled, privileged kid who is sick of the way the world is and, feels like he doesn't necessarily fit in well enough or in a deep enough, meaningful enough way. Well, sorry, pal, there's plenty of ways you can get meaning in your life in this world. If you actually want to get off your ass and do something, you can actually make a difference to people if you want to. But he decided that he wanted to go out into the wild and live like that, and he ended up dying, basically, and getting, I think, did he freeze or did he get eaten by a bear? I'm not sure. I'll read it soon and I'll find out. But it just irritated me, and it's a bit like this book as well. It's really interesting, and some of the descriptions are really interesting of what happened, and it's horrible. There are dead bodies up there, people had icicles on them and they were shivering and close to death. And the Texan bloke, Beck, hard as nails, how the hell did he survive? But he did. He just had that, one of those people who had that kind of spirit where he managed to just keep going and he survived. He lost his nose, he lost his fingers. Why the hell do people do it? I understand, I do understand the need for adrenaline and for achievement, and there's part of me that thinks it must be amazing to get up and stand on top of Everest and look down and think I've done it, and that buzz of being so close to death and kind of getting up there and getting back down again. But come on, it's been done so many times before by so many people. Who really does anyone really care that you've climbed Everest particularly? I mean, well done, you've put yourself in danger, you've risked your life, and most people have got family and friends that care about them, and you've risked doing that to people. And I just think take a bit of responsibility. A lot of the stuff I read, a lot of the stuff I review is about personal development, and I read other stuff as well. Obviously Intothinair isn't a personal development, but I do think it's about kind of achievement and goals, and it's still fairly relevant. But I just think that one of the big things of personal development is taking responsibility for yourself, but also kind of being respectful of other people and kind of not allowing your ego to sort of control you. And I think people who go up Everest probably do allow their ego to get in the way a bit too much. It's kind of like, I have to get to the top. I have to be able to say that I got to the top of Everest, instead of saying, okay, I'm near the top, but actually if I don't turn around now, there's a good chance I'm going to die. Just sort of, instead of doing that, they push themselves, they get up there and they die, or they get close to dying, or they kill, or they respond, they contribute to someone else's death maybe somehow by collapsing and pulling someone off the edge or whatever. I just think it's a really interesting book. I definitely recommend giving it a read, but the whole thing just grates on my nerves a little bit and irritates me. I just think it's quite often wealthy people who probably feel as though they've achieved so much, they've done well in their careers and stuff, and that's fantastic, give yourself a pat on the back, but then they have to go and do this and climb Everest, and it costs fucking tens of thousands of pounds to get up there as well, and you have help, you have these Sherpas you need to help you, and he talks about in the book, these rich people who spend this money, they're not even particularly good mountaineers or climbers, but they spend so much money on having a team drag them up there. I just think, what kind of achievement is that anyway, if you've just brought yourself up there? I mean, okay, fair enough, you still need to be strong enough to keep pushing on and to keep putting one foot in front of the other and to make sure that you carry on even though you're about to die and stuff like that. But still, I just think you're still not a particularly great climber, and you've still got like a great team around you that you've paid for who are kind of effectively dragging you up there. And I just find that a bit sad, really. I just think, I look back at the days, what's his name? The first bloke that got up there, his name escapes me now. He was the bloke from New Zealand, wasn't he? Beekeeper from New Zealand. God, I can't remember. Top of my head. But absolutely, that's kind of magic. That's fantastic. He was the first person to get up there. And sorry, guys, but it's been done. Like, okay, look back and feel a bit sort of sad about that, but it has been done, and that's the fact. So why keep going up there and kind of causing, I don't know, it just irritates me. There's these queues of people going up there, they're all dying basically because they're human, surprise surprise. They're all basically dying, and it's luck as to whether they make it back or not. If they get to the top, if they're dying and they get to the top and the weather comes in badly enough, you're going to die if it comes in badly enough, and you get separated and you can't find your way back, and the weather stays bad for long enough. You've got too far to come down. If it whites out and you can't see where you're going, you're dead. You're not going to make it. So there is just so much luck involved as well. So yeah, there's plenty of people that completely disagree with me and say, oh, you're an idiot, what the hell are you talking about, it's about this, it's about that. Well, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what it's about. If you're prepared to risk your life that blatantly when you've got kids particularly, I think you need to buck up and take a bit of responsibility basically and get a bit of perspective. It shouldn't be the most important thing in your world that you can say from an ego point of view that you've got to the top of Everest, and screw anyone else who actually for some reason cares about you. So yeah, that's my little rant about it. Intothinair by Jon Krakauer. But other than that, quite an entertaining read if you can get over the fact that it's pretty fucking irritating. Cheers.